Day. Second there, guys. It was a split night for us last night. Blue Jays, courtesy George Springer's 3-run homer, take us home, get the Blue Jays into the World Series. But Houston Texans, what a fucking disgrace of an offense. That was absolutely brutal to watch. Imagine 4 turnovers. Supposed to win 90% of the games, maybe 95% of the games if you get 4 turnovers. That was absolutely ugly. NFL was a disaster this week, as good as college football was. 4-0 in the college football. 0-4 big collar in NFL. Only thing, the college games were just a little bit bigger. So we'll take some solace in that, and we'll hope to get back on the right track. I love my NFL bets this week, and if we had any success, they actually would have been bigger. And my Mass Edge members, you know the games that I've already sent out. College haven't sent out yet, working on them. A lot of stuff going on right now. Got NBA tipping off tonight, so we'll start with that. And we'll touch a little bit about the World Series. Aaron says Dodgers -215 to win it all. Well, 215 would be the lowest price in the world. I don't see anything lower than 230. Dang glasses. As I've been talking about, Dodgers coming is just red hot. They win the last 5 regular season games and win 9 of 10 postseason games. That's 14-1 going down the stretch. That pitching staff, look, especially at this time of year, it's all about the pitching, and you're not matching that pitching staff. You're going to have a Toronto staff. Actually, 3 of their starters or potential starters saw action yesterday. You started with Bieber. Guzman saw an inning. It won't affect them. They've got till Friday, but he threw an inning. Bassett threw an inning. You're relying on this young kid, he's Savage, to get you there. Bieber didn't get deep into the game. And just compare them to the Dodgers, and there's just no comparison in the pitching. Good afternoon, Ginger. Yes, it is time to make some money. Anyway, that's going to be a tough series. Haven't got the listed pitchers for Game 1 yet. That game starts Friday. They are talking about Bichette being available, so that time off, it gives them another few more days. But we'll talk more about the World Series as we get closer. Right now, let's talk about the NBA. NBA is here. I've now got 4 bets all ready for tomorrow. Told you guys one of them. We took Cavs +4, sent that out Sunday while we were working on the NFL, because I don't stop working. We took +4 in that game. This game is now down to 2.5. Let me just catch these couple of infos now that are popping up. All right. Okay, so 2 games today. I don't have a bet in either one of them. I leaned to both favorites in this game, and I hate to be betting on favorites. Hate to be laying wood, especially in the NBA. Rockets, Thunder. So last year, Rockets played them tough, but not in OKC. Rockets won both games in Houston. Thunder won all 3 meetings in OKC, 2-1 against the spread. Rockets were the 2 seed last year. Great basketball. All year long, Rockets played but they get knocked off in the first round by the Warriors, a team that was Rockets get a bad draw. The 7 seed Warriors that once Jimmy Butler joined the squad, that Warriors team was as solid as any out west, as solid as any except the Thunder. So you got a tough draw. They make the big trade. Weren't happy with that. So you give up Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, and you get Hall of Famer, but 37-year-old Hall of Famer KD. He finished the year with an injury last year. We'll see how long these guys could go. Again, 37 years old. So not only do you lose Brooks and Green, Fred Van Vliet, he'll be out all year. So in essence, you take that Rocket team from last year, and it's a 3-for-1. You're losing 3 starters, and you're getting KD. Does that make them better than they were last year? I don't know. Definitely not at the beginning of the season. Look, at the beginning of the season, you want familiarity. When you're working new guys in, yeah, you got all off season and exhibition. I need real games to work these guys in. So I don't feel Houston is as good as they were last year. And look, the Thunder are still the best team in the NBA. This was the youngest team in the NBA win the championship. Basically, the same team coming back, although you won't have a second leading scorer, Jalen Williams, back. And that was the only reason that we're not on this game. At this price, I would have laid it. And they still have like 7 rounds. Now, they're just that Thunder are the best team. Only thing could happen here is the youth could catch them thinking they're too good. So we'll see how they handle success. Best team last year at home, 46-8. That includes the playoffs, 39-15 against the spread. Again, with Jalen Williams in the lineup, I would have laid the Thunder. I leaned that way anyway, but not laying those points without your second leading scorer. Game 2, Warriors at Lakers. And as I said, Warriors, they were going nowhere. What they were talking about, the Steve Kerr, Steph Curry era over. They make the trade to get Jimmy Butler revitalized. They go on a nice little tear. They take care of the 2nd seed Rockets in the first round. They win the first game, and we had a monster bet on the Warriors. If you Massa Edge members remember, we had Warriors first game against the Timberwolves, blowing them out in the first half. Now Steph Curry goes out before the halftime in that game. Warriors hang on to win, but then lose the next 4. Steph not able to come back from that injury. Steph and Jimmy Butler on the floor were fantastic last year. This year, it's 37-year-old Steph and 36-year-old Jimmy Butler. Do they recapture what they had last year? What do they have left in the tank? That's the thing. Warriors still a home team. I don't even know what that means. Are they a home team? They're on the road. Warriors are at the Lakers. If you check the ratings, Warriors just as good. I mean, exactly as good on the road as they are at home. Lakers, they add Luka, okay. But as I said at that time, I did not see that fit with LeBron. That did not work out well. Lakers lose in 5 to the Timberwolves in the first round, and they're going to start their season without the 40-year-old LeBron James. So it's going to be the Luka LA show. And that's why Warriors are a favorite on the road here. Just give me one sec. Just seeing the Thunder go down to 6.5. This is could be going too low even without Jalen Williams. OKC or nobody in that first game, even at the 6.5. Warriors, if you're a Mass Edge member, you can see I make the Warriors 4 points better on the road than the Lakers are at home. That obviously, again, like I said, without LeBron. This game has ticked up to 3 this morning. Obviously, going towards my number. Just didn't feel there was enough room in there. Would have laid 1 on this game for sure. Little more conservative the first couple of days of the season until we really get to feel who's ready to play. Easy to read stuff and what coaches talk about. Just went to 3.5 at Sugar House. Okay. Not shocked at that at all. Those are 2 NBA games today. And as I said, a full slate tomorrow, and then you'll only have 2 games on Thursday. But out of the full slate tomorrow, as I said, guys, Cavs +4. If you're a Mass Edge member, you got that game on Sunday. And that's why you guys that are just live members are going to want to become full Massa Edge members, so you're getting the games immediately, not having to wait till the day of the game at noon when we do the live. Like I said, I've got 3 other NBA bets for tomorrow. One more 2-unit bet and 2 1-unit bets. That looks like a wrap for the first days. And we'll go over tomorrow's NBA. Now, what I will go over today is just a quick little outlook on the teams and what we expect these teams to look like. A lot of people have high hopes for the Atlanta Hawks. Now they add Porzingis, okay. He's as brittle as a newborn. When he's out there, he could be great. Porzingis, I don't want to say great. He could be real good. Porzingis. But how much does he get beat up? Other than that, we got small moves for trade. So in other words, Porzingis is in and Capella is out. Akanagwu had basically taken over the starting position anyway. Capella was nothing. He's moved on. Porzingis, like I said, that's an upgrade there. And they get Alexander Walker from Minnesota, but they lose LeVert. So I don't see much different of a squad than they have from last year. A lot of people have them going higher. Toronto was real solid ATS last year on the road. Well, Toronto tanked so bad at the end of the season. So even games that they were playing their players, they'd be bringing them out at halftime. So don't even look at that. I'll get to Toronto, and I happen to like their starting 5 a real lot, but we'll get there shortly. I'm going to go right down the alphabetical order. Celtics, as we all know, so no Jason Tatum, okay? Injured, done for the year. Porzingis, as I just mentioned, goes to Atlanta. Horford, he's gone. Justin Holiday, they trade him to Portland. They get Simons back from Portland. So it's a whole different team. But you still got a little core there. They're just heavy in backcourt. Jaylen Brown, White. You'll have Simons. We'll see. He'll probably look to come off the bench. Celtics still a solid team. Expect them to still be a 500 team and be in the playoffs in a very weak East. Let's state that ahead of time. Besides the Cavs and Knicks, so I expect Knicks to win the Atlantic, the East, whatever they call that, the Atlantic, the Cavs to win the Central, and Orlando to win the South. Those are my 3 picks for the 3 divisions. And man, it's a drop off after that. But let's continue. Brooklyn, they basically trade Denver, Cam Johnson for Porter. So they're the same piece of shit team. They'll be tanking the entire year. Look, I've already given Um, Adam Silver, the remedy. You've got a terrible product. How stupid could you be? You want to fix the tanking? You're going to have teams tanking from the first night. Here's how you fix the tanking, okay? The the team with the worst record doesn't get the biggest percentage, okay? The team with the best record that doesn't make the playoffs, they get the first pick. Now, every team will play every single game to win, even when they're out of it, just so they can get a better pick. Okay? So, one more time, it's simple. You reward bad behavior. It's like you let the fucking liberals rob up to $900 without pressing charges on these fucking mutts. Okay? So, you reward bad behavior. The more games you lose, the better chance you got of getting the fucking number one pick. Are you a jerk off? Adam Silver's basically a jerk off. Uh, the NBA, they are ruining what could be a great product. Okay, uh, the resting the stars, the game management, injury management, all this bullshit, all this tanking stuff, and I just gave you a way to fix that. So, but let's move on. Charlotte Hornets, they're going to be a little better this year than last year. Ball, can he stay on the court? Can he stay healthy on the court? And Miller, the rookie last year, who was playing good ball, got hurt. He was out for basically the entire year. So Ball and Miller, that could combine for a little something. They should be a little better than last year. You add Sexton in, who could score? Sexton came from the Jazz. They do lose Williams, the center, but expect Charlotte to be a little bit better. Not a threat for anything, but a little bit better than last year. Chicago's going to start the season in rough shape. Are they going to lose White? We talked about that just yesterday. Kobe White. Chicago, they got hot just at the end of the season. They're not as good a team as we think they are. Just give me one sec, man. They just had a little hot run that propelled them into the play-in last year. Um, But once again, without White, one of their scorers, expect them to be a bad team. That's why we saw that Detroit Piston line tick up as we were doing the live. Cavs, this to me is the best team in the East. I don't even think it's close. And I can call them right now maybe the best team even without Garland. But can they do it when it comes time for the playoffs? Um, Cavs are loaded. Mobley and Allen, two great bigs. Mitchell, superstar player. When you add Garland, I mean, this team is absolutely loaded. Now, they don't have the depth that they've had in the last few years. They lose Okoro, they lose Jerome, so they lose a few guys. But even with that said, I think Cavs are the best team in the NBA, in the East, better than the Knicks. And why we jumped all over this first game, Cavs won all four meetings, won and covered all four meetings against the Knicks last year. So again, just I think the Cavs are just a little bit above all of the rest of the teams in the East. Pistons, basically the same team minus Ivy. They're going to start the season without Ivy, and that's why you don't see that line as a bigger number. Pistons over Bulls. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. Indiana, you guys know the deal. They lose Halliburton. Tough injury. Indiana puts a run on at the end of the season. Gives the Thunder all they could fucking ask for. But they lose Halliburton. They trade Miles Turner. They get rid of Miles Turner. And this will be a shell of themselves. And they'll be lucky to get near the 500 mark this season. Miami, another team will start the season with their best player, Tyler Hero, on the injured list. And they're another team, again, will be under 500 for the season, especially without Hero. Milwaukee, now they picked up Miles Turner from the Pacers, but they got rid of Brooks Lopez, so you basically swapped out centers. Other than that, this team's all about Giannis. There's nothing else to talk about. It's Giannis and everything else. Obviously, Lillard gone. That didn't work out for Milwaukee, as I didn't think it would. Bringing in Lillard, you got rid of Holiday, a defensive guy. That didn't work. Milwaukee, better, um, better than the 500 team. I don't think they challenge the Cavs. Again, this team lives and dies with Giannis. Knicks, basically same team as last year. You get rid of Thibodeau, who just buries these guys, and he's been doing this whole career. Thibodeau, like him as a coach, but he just fucking runs guys out there too many fucking minutes. Playoffs come, there's just no gas left in the tank. Um, Great offensive squad, but as good as what Cat and Brunson give you on the offensive end, defensive liabilities. Dibs rubs his place in the ground. Yes, he pretty much is. Pistons pick up LeVert and Duncan Robinson, more depth. They definitely do got the depth. Look, Duran and Cunningham, that's what the Pistons are going to live and die for. Ivy is that third piece. You're talking about Robinson and LeVert. You're talking about, I mean, nice guys to have come off the bench, but they're not game changers. Magic, basically the same team, just going to swap out KCP, Caldwell Pope for Bain from Memphis to get a little bit more of an offense. KCP, a basic D&3 guy. Bain will do more of the same. Orlando's got defense. Remember Orlando at the beginning of the season? They got off to a phenomenal start. Then they had injuries to they had two superstars. Oh God, what Franz Wagner and the other fucking kid, Pancho, and never got back to where they were as the season went on. I expect the Magic to take that next step this season, and I've got them a whole level above the Hawks. So you're looking at in that division, Magic, the Hawks. Then Miami, and obviously Washington Wizards, who are pathetic. We'll get there shortly. Philly, what are we going to get out of Joel Embiid? Now the reports are coming out. He's looks good. He lost some weight. It's Joel Embiid. He may play if when he gets in there. He's going to do whatever. How long is he going to be healthy for? He ain't going to play back to backs. You can't have Philly rated that good. I think Celtics finish ahead of the 76ers in the Atlantic Conference, just for the fact that you won't have Embiid from. Look, you're already starting. He'll probably play the first game. Paul George already having his injury problems. The Philly team, when they put that fucking squad together, you thought it was going to be a squad, not so much. Maxey, he shouldered the load when they were out last, when Embiid was out last year. He's not that guy. Yeah, he can score a lot of points. He's not a team that's leading you anywhere. So we'll have to be up to the minute each game with guys like Joel Embiid. But again, as I'm saying right now, don't expect them to be playing back to backs. So as we get into the season, guys, you'll see how key knowing who's going to play, who's not going to play is. We'll be all over that. Toronto, and I think this is. I think everybody's undershooting Toronto. They added Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans last year, and they've got a nice little starting five. Not much depth, but they'll bring guys like Quickly back. He was injured a lot last year. Barrett, Podol. I love the center. Put Ingram in there. They've got a lot. They've got good starters, and I think they're gonna. I think Toronto. Could actually leapfrog both Boston and Philly, and we'll see how that gets going. The problem again is the depth. No depth. One injury out of that starting five, and then you got a problem. But to start the season, they look good. Wizards. If it wasn't for Utah, Wizards would be the worst team in the NBA. I think they're even worse than the Nets, and they'll start with Coloby out. Basically got rid of Jordan Poole. They get C.J. McCollum. I don't know what you're doing there. All nonsense trades. You got vets like C.J. McCollum, Chris Middleton. I don't want to be with a cellar dweller like the Wizards. Tough to get that chemistry together. The West. Just give me 1 second, guys. Not much movement anymore. So the West, we're looking at Dallas. Obviously, they get flagged, the number 1 pick. They'll start the season without Kyrie. Now, you get flagged, you got AD, you put Kyrie on that team, and all of a sudden, you got a team that can win some games. So we'll see how what Flag does. He looks like all that he's built to be. Dallas also added D'Angelo Russell. While Kyrie is out, this is another 500 team. But 500 teams in the fucking West are not going to get it done. The West is just absolutely loaded. Denver, are they getting back there? Are they back for another championship run? They gave the Thunder all they could handle also last year in the playoffs. They, as I said before, they swap out Porter for Cam Johnson. They swap out Westbrook for Brown, who was with them when they won the championship. You've got the best player in the world in Joker. This year they got him a decent backup, Valanciunas. He's a solid backup for a backup center in the NBA. And they ought to add another shooter, Tim Hardaway Jr. Denver takes a step forward, and they were good last year. Denver didn't play hard all season. Playoff time comes, and they got their asses moving. Golden State adds Al Horford. That's a big add for them. They've always been challenged at the center, playing guys like Kevin Looney, having Dre start at the center. Problem is, you got another guy here, Horford. He hasn't played back-to-back games in 3 years. So you could forget about him on a second game. Now, as they said, when Warriors added Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline last year, they took off. This was a solid team. They had a nice little run, and I expect that at least to start the season. As I said before, Curry 37, Butler 36. Can they sustain this going into April? But to start the season, I expect those guys to play good ball. Al Horford, I think, is a perfect fit with Golden State. Just again, too bad he can't play every day. Houston, we talked about a little bit. As I said, you give up Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks for KD, and then Van Vliet goes down with the injury, so you lose 3 starters, and you pick up a 37-year-old Hall of Famer. Will it be worth it down the road? Look, KD gets buckets, and still at 37, as good as anybody in the NBA. But to start with, especially, you're losing 3 starters for KD. I think it's a detriment to Houston to start the season. Clippers, man, I do this every fucking beginning of the year. You look at the Clippers roster and you say, this fucking team is just about as good as anybody. And whatever I say, nobody's as good as the Thunder. But other than that, so now they add Beal for Norman Powell. They add Collins. I like John Collins, who came from Utah, used to be on the Hawks. It's another big that's solid. Can they get away from all the other distractions that's going on in Clipperland? But if you just look at that fucking lineup with Harden, with Kawhi, as they said, now you're adding Beal. This is a solid fucking Clipper team. Expect them to do damage in the West. Myself, they should be the winners in the Pacific. Maybe challenged by the Warriors. I don't see the Lakers getting them the challenge. If they can stay healthy, that's the whole thing with we could say that about every single team. If they can stay healthy. Grizzlies, we talk about help, they're gonna start the year fucking hurting already. So Grizzlies, As I said, they swap out Bain for KCP with Orlando. But they're going to start the season with Eddie, Clark, Pippen, and who else is one more guy? Eddie, Clark, Pippen. Eddie's the center, Clark. Okay, the forward Pippen, Scottie Pippen Jr., gave him some good minutes when Ja was out, and Ty Jerome, who they got, who had some nice scoring games for Cleveland. All four of those guys start the year on the injured list. Memphis needs all those players. That's what they have. They win with their depth, Ja and Triple J. Ja, again, another guy. How healthy he could be. Here's a team that could be a playoff team in a tough West if healthy. Will they stay healthy? Ja has his problems every year. Minnesota, I like Minnesota. Now they had some fortunate luck, as I talked about Steph getting hurt in game one and then missing the rest of the series. They made short work of the Lakers. They made short work of Golden State once Curry was out. And gave the Thunder all they could handle there. Hold on a second, guys. Just give me one moment. Okay, so Minnesota again, pretty much the same team coming right back, and again, that's what I like, especially to start the season because you've got that continuity there. Minnesota again, as I said, uh, very, very good team. Pelicans, they're pretty much going to be the same team. They had their window when they had Ingram and Zion, although Zion supposedly in his best shape ever. We'll see. But the DeJounte Murray out, they're not going anywhere. Thunder, I told you, best team in NBA last year. They only got better as they mature more, and now they've played through a couple of 7-game series. How many games do they take off, though, during the regular season? Where do they coast? And that is what I'm an expert at. The games that these teams get up for and the teams that they kind of take off. That's the most important thing about NBA in the regular season. No team plays 82 games anymore, 100%. Those days are gone with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan came to play 8. That's why he was the best ever. He came to play every single game. That's the NBA is not like that anymore. So the key to betting NBA, what team's going to show up and what team may just not be that interested in that particular game. Phoenix Suns, they get rid of KD. They get Green and Brooks, as I said, but Jalen Green starts the season on the IL. So that's a downgrade right there. They also get rid of Beal and Jones. This is a rebuilding year for Phoenix. Phoenix is a bad team. Phoenix will be one of the worst teams, not as bad as Utah, but one of the worst teams in the West. Sacramento, they're starting the year off hurting. Sabonis and Murray, two of their starters out, but could still get scoring out of Levine and DeRozan. So I'm looking at that Suns sack game, and that game's been going higher. Westbrook's supposed to be their savior. Um, yeah. Anyway, Portland, as I said, they get Damian Lillard back. He won't play this year. Comes back home to Portland. Um, they traded Simons for Holiday for the Celtics. They want to get a little veteran leadership in there. DeAndre Ayton, he goes to the Lakers. Portland played good last year, better than we thought they'd be, and they may take another little step forward. Portland, just they're not going anywhere in a loaded West. San Antone, unfortunately for them, they're going to start the season without Fox and Jeremy Sokan to a lesser degree. Fox is solid. Wemby's another year in the league for Wemby, and we already know what this kid's going to be. This kid, hate to compare him to Shoei, because Shoei is the true unicorn. I mean, 10 Ks and 3 home runs the other night, just storybook stuff. But Wemby is this kind of play. He's a unicorn. You add Fox to that squad. They've got a nice little squad. Um, they'll need him to get into the bottom of those playoffs. Dennis Schroeder starting over Westbrook, I think. They get two veteran point guards. We'll see who they finish with on the floor, more importantly. And then you've got Utah, the absolute worst team in the NBA. They tanked the entire second half of the year last year, which was a disgrace. Um, and once again, Adam Silver, you mutt, you're ruining the product. It's a simple fix. Out of all the playoff teams, you set them to the side, and then the first team that doesn't make the playoffs, the team with the best record that doesn't make playoffs, that's who gets number one pick. Team with the second best record gets the number two pick. You do that, you stop all the tanking. Every team comes to play the especially the end of the schedule. Um, just a terrible job in the NBA. What do we got here? We get the Houston Texans line moving to 1.5. Now, here's a game, if you're a Mass Edge member, um, you'll look at my ratings and say, damn, John, why didn't we jump on the Texans? You've got them rated higher than the 49ers. Well, they're going to come off a Monday night ugly loss. Not only come off that loss, um, Nico Collins, concussion last night, their best wide receiver. And I don't know if you guys watched that game last night. CJ Stroud had no time to throw, no time to do any fucking thing. And 49ers, even though they've got a banged up D and they've lost a couple of more guys, played solid. Texas Lions they were awful. And again, if you're losing a wide receiver, Nico Collins, we get a concussion on a Monday night. Chances are he's not making it back by Sunday. You've got to clear the concussion protocol. So if it was on a Sunday, you get a better of a chance. But getting the concussion on a Monday night, not a good shot for him to pass the protocol. Texans, after last night, um, sometimes the stats will fool you, and they still have the best defense as according to points allowed, allowing just 14.7. As I said, 4 fucking turnovers. So it's not the defense the problem. There's just no offense. So anyway, that's why I didn't jump on that particular game, feeling Collins would probably be out. Who will 49ers get back this week? And you got a whole extra day for San Fran as Houston played on the Monday night. We got a whole bunch of other games in the NFL. And again, as I said, if the NFL wasn't so bad, these would have been bigger bets. I've got a few 2-unit bets. They probably would have been at least 2.5, maybe 3-unit bets. Tell me where you want me to go. You know what, guys? I'll do one conference today in the college football. Still don't have a bet yet there. We'll get there. Let's start off the we'll do a game a conference each day this week and try to get you guys through the 4 main conferences, the only 4 that I do. So Friday night we got California, Virginia Tech. So if you're a how to beat the Massa Edge member, UCF got Virginia Tech only 1.7 points better at home than California is on the road. Okay, that's the base number. So remember what I'm talking about. When we've got these West Coast teams, your Cal, your Stanford, and they got to travel all the way East Coast, it's an extra point thereabouts in the ratings. So that's going to be an extra point. and VTech is coming off a bye. So that 1.7 is more like a 3 to a 3.5 once I add that spot in. That's what's called the spot. So the coast to coast travel for Cal, they're coming off a win against North Carolina. VTech coming off two losses and a bye. So I'm more 3.5. So the number is closer to the number you see now, which is 4.5. Syracuse G Tech. Again, I've got G Tech 17.3 points better at home than the Cuse is on the road. And you see that number right the fuck on the money. That line is 17.5. Syracuse home loss to Pitt last week. G Tech road win against Duke. Cuse won at home 31-28 last year in the matchup, and G Tech beat Syracuse the prior year 31-22. So no big edges either way. 17.3, my number, 17.5. That's the number that the game is at. BC Louisville. Now, if Boston College didn't suck so much dick, I mean, this just would be a great spot to bet against Louisville. Um, Louisville coming off the huge Friday night win at Miami. So they're in a fucking letdown spot here. They won 31-27 at BC last year. Again, as I said, if BC was any kind of team, you'd be chomping at the bit. Now, my numbers have Louisville just 22.6 points better at home than BC is on the road. And this game at 25.5, some spots even with 26. The game is up from 23.5, and it's going further away. And just BC is just that bad. They just lost at home to Connecticut last week. It's BC and nobody with that said, but BC's lost 6 straight, 0-5 against the spread. And that's it. Did we lose John or is live over? Can you guys see me or hear me? Somebody send me a message. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, good. Stanford and Miami. Next game, again, Stanford, coast to coast, from the West Coast all the way to Miami. You can't get a further travel on that unless you're Oregon to Miami, Northwest. But Stanford all the way to Miami. So the numbers, ratings, Miami's 28 points better at home. Then Stanford is on the road, but this is a spot that belongs to Miami. Miami's going to look to kill somebody after losing at home to Louisville, so they're home for the second week in a row. Stanford coming off the home win against Florida State, huge upset. Is that an 18-point dog? Come cross country, so the numbers are 28. The spot's a 2-point spot. My number becomes 30. And if you take a fucking look, it's just what Miami is, Florida is, 30 points. Here's the one that I missed from the beginning. This time of year, just a little too tough to get all the sports. The first week of NBA, getting prepared, something's got to you got to sacrifice something. That's why when MLB is in full force, I don't start with college football in the beginning. So college football always the last thing I if something's got to be sacrificed, it's college football. But here's a game that opened up 9. You can see it's 10.5 now. And if you're a Massa Edge member, you can see the difference in my numbers. As I've got Virginia 15.3 points better on the road than North Carolina is at home. Now, North Carolina played a decent game last week, cross country, but lost at California on Friday. Virginia was coming off that letdown from their Louisville win, and they barely got past a bad Washington State team. With that said, North Carolina put it on Virginia last year, 41-14. So maybe a little revenge too. And Virginia's won 3 of the last 4 at North Carolina. Look, I expect this to be a big-time blowout. Should have laid the 9. Don't want to really lay more than 10. And this game's sitting at 10.5 now. But it's Virginia or nobody against a terrible, terrible North Carolina team. Belichick should take his dick out of that little young girl and go into some old age home or something. NC State Pitt. So I've got this game is going too low. Pitt's playing some fucking good ball. And unless there's an injury somewhere, we're going to be on Pitt. I've got Pitt 11 points better at home than I have NC State on the road. Now, NC State is coming off a bye, but they're just not a good team. 1-3 their last 4 games with the 1 win against an FCS team. This game opened 9.5 and has gone down to 6.5. I don't understand why it's going down. Will be Pitt or nobody in this one. Another game that I think is just too fucking low, and look, SMU. Why we made this a 3-unit bet SMU over Clemson last week was because it was the circle game. Now, if it's a circle game and you win it, obviously it's going to be a letdown. And this is a letdown spot for SMU. There's no question about it. Plus, their second road game in a row while Wake is on a bye. Now, Wake Forest has been playing better, but their last one was against Oregon State. Oregon State is absolutely terrible. Wake been playing better ball. SMU on a letdown, second week in a row on the road. Wake Forest off a bye. That's the spot. But I've got SMU 9 points better on the road than Wake at home. So I can't get it down to 3.5. If this game touches 3, I'm going to want to lay SMU. Did we do all the ACC games? What do you got, guys? Anything else? What else could you do? What else you need from me? Ask and I'll tell you. Winning lotto numbers. We'd all love to have those winning lotto numbers, right? Like 600 million or something tonight. Berger says Lakers are nobody tonight. No, I already went over that. I already gave my opinion on that game. All right, man. We'll wrap it up then. A lot of work to do. I've got NBA, BYU, Iowa State. Now, hang on for that one, Jay Premier. But I see you see what I'm seeing. Here's a game that my ratings have BYU rated higher on the road than Iowa State is at home. So why is Iowa State the favorite? Well, we talked about SMU coming off a letdown, BYU coming off a letdown. We call that the holy wall. BYU versus Utah. Big win for BYU. Letdown spot. Iowa State, they had a bye coming off 2 straight losses. They were missing a lot of players. They should get a lot of guys back. While I can't get to 3, that's the reason the game is off. There's always a reason. And if there's not a reason, then it's a bet. Guys, let me get back to work. I'll be here tomorrow and each weekday, noon Eastern. Best sports bet information you get anywhere. The Massa, let's make some money.